part two yesterday, but I thought I left the Bible. I couldn't find it, but here I am at 149, and we're going to read. Um, 2 Samuel. David comes back from Ziklag. He learns that Saul and Jonathan died, and he mourns for them. He even has this song right there for mourning. And then David is made king over Judah. However, the commander Abner makes Ishbosheth king over Israel. So they go to civil war, and one of the people who was going toward Abner, he gets killed by Abner. And so they go after him, and then um, instead they gather all their people back. So um, the people from Benjamin who were killed were 360. Almost like 360 degrees. Okay, so we're going to read chapter 3, and we'll see what we go afterward. So, chapter 3, the house of David strengthened. Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, and David became steadily stronger, while the house of Saul became steadily weaker. Sons were born to David in Hebron. His firstborn was Amnon by Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and his second, Kilia, by Abigail, the widow of Nabal the Carmelite, and the third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, the king of Geshur, and the fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith, and the fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital, and the sixth, Ithream, by David's wife, Eglah. These sons were born to David in Hebron. Abner joins David. Now it happened that while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner was strengthening himself in the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, "Why have you gone into my father's concubine?" Then Abner became very angry over Ishbosheth's question and said, "Am I a dog's head that belongs to Judah? Today I show kindness to the house of Saul your father, to his brothers and to his friends, and have not let you fall into the hands of David. Yet today you call me to account for wrongdoing with that woman? May God do so to me, and more so, as the Lord has sworn to David, I do not accomplish this for him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and to establish the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba." And Ishbosheth could no longer say a word in response to Abner because he was afraid of him. Then Abner sent messengers to David at his place, saying, "Whose is the land? Make a covenant with me, and behold, my hand shall be with you to bring all Israel over to you." And he said, "Good, I will make a covenant with you, only I require one thing of you, namely that you shall not see my face on you unless you first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when you come to see me." So David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, "Give me my wife Michal, to whom I was betrothed, for 100 foreskins of the Philistines." Ishbosheth sent men and had her taken from her husband, from Paltiel the son of Laish, and her husband was with her, weeping as he went, following her as far as Bahurim. Then Abner said to him, "Go, return." So he returned. Now Abner had a consultation with the elders of Israel, saying, In times past, you were seeking for David to be king over you. Now then, do it, for the Lord has spoken regarding David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and from the hands of all their enemies. Abner also spoke to Benjamin, and in addition, Abner went to speak to David in Hebron, everything that seemed good to Israel and to the entire house of Benjamin. Then Abner and 20 men with him came to David at Hebron, and David held a feast for Abner and the men who were with him. Abner said to David, let me set out and go and gather all Israel to my lord the king, so that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may be king over all that your soul desires. So David let Abner go, and he went in peace. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from a raid and brought a large amount of plunder with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, since he had let him go, and he had gone in peace. When Joab and all the army that was with him arrived, they informed Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he has let him go on his way, and he has gone in peace. Then Joab came to the king and said, what have you done? Behold, Abner came to you. Why then have you let him go, so that he is already gone? You know Abner the son of Ner. He came to gain your confidence and to learn of your going out and coming in to um, find out everything that you were doing. Maria, God bless you. Welcome in. This is the Bible. See that? A dictionary. That's a Bible. All right. So, by the way, thank you for the 3 likes, folks. Thank y'all. All right. Let's continue. Joab murders Abner. When Joab left David's presence, he sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from the well of Sirah. But David did not know about it. So when Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into the middle of the gate to speak with him privately, and then he struck him in the belly so that he died on account of the blood of his brother Asahel. Afterward, when David heard about this, he said, I and my kingdom are innocent before the Lord forever of the blood of Abner the son of Ner. May it turn upon the head of Joab and on all his brother's house, and may there not be eliminated from the house of Joab someone who suffers a discharge or has a leprosy, or holds the spindle, or falls by the sword, or lacks bread. So Joab and his brother Abishai killed Abner because he had put their brother Asahel to death in a battle at Gibeon. David mourns Abner. David said to Joab and to all the people who were with him, tear your clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn before Abner. And King David, I think that's the first time I've heard heard David be referred to as King David. And King David walked behind the bier, and they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king raised his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And then the king sang a song of mourning for Abner and said, should Abner die as a fool dies? Your hands were not bound, nor your feet put in bronze shackles. As one falls before the wicked, you have fallen. And all the people went or wept over him again. Then all the people came to provide food for David in his distress while it was still day. But David vowed, saying, may God do so to me, and more so if I taste bread or anything else before the sun goes down. Now all the people took note of David's vow, and it pleased him. as is everything that the king had did please all the people. So all the people in all Israel understood on that day that it had not been the desire of the king to put Abner the son of Ner to death. Then the king said to his servants, "Do you not know that a leader and a great man has fallen in Israel this day? And I am weak today, though anointed king. And these men, the sons of Zeruiah, are too difficult for me. May the Lord repay the evildoer in proportion to his evil." Okay. Um, so David has children with all his wives, maybe except Michal. I can't remember. I don't think he has a child with Michal, but he has children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So he has 6 sons. Okay. Then Abner, uh, Ishbosheth thinks that Abner slept with Saul's concubine, and because of this, Abner is offended and is going to help out David, who had killed Asahel. Now, Abner, David, they make a covenant. Now, the Israelites. Now, Abner had made Ishbosheth as the king. Now, because he's offended at Ishbosheth, he no longer wants him to be king over Israel. David is going to be made king over Israel instead, as the Lord has proclaimed and spoken into existence. They held a feast there. Now, Joab murdered later. Sorry. Before this, David sends Abner away. And then later, Joab goes to Abner and kills him with a sword for what he did to Asahel. Again, the wages of sin are death. Also, life for a life. Those are Old Testament things which still resonate to this day. Um, what else? And Abishai was also there, as it says in the Bible. But David mourns for Abner, for he sees him not as a murderer, but rather as a helper, a friend, a family. He declares a day of mourning for this. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what happens. All right, chapter 4, Ishbosheth. So, chapter 3, Abner basically makes David king, and he dies for killing one of the people, and David mourns him. All right. Chapter 4. Ishbosheth murdered. Now, when Ishbosheth, Saul's son, heard that Abner had died in Hebron, his courage failed, and all Israel was horrified. And Saul's son had 2 men who were commanders of troops. The name of the one was Bana, and the name of the other one, Rechab, the sons of Rimmon and Rimmon the Beerothite, the sons of Benjamin, for Beeroth is also considered part of Benjamin, and the Beerothites fled to Gittaim and had lived there as strangers until this day. Now Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son who was disabled in both feet. He was 5 years old when the news of Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel, and his nurse picked him up and fled. And it happened that in her hurry to flee, he fell and could no longer walk, and his name was Mephibosheth. So the sons of Rimmon and the Beerothite, Rechab and Bana, I don't know how to pronounce it, departed, and came to the house of Ishbosheth in the heat of the day, while he was taking his midday rest. And they came to the interior of the house as if to get wheat, and they struck him in the belly, and Rechab and his brother Bana escaped. Now, when they had come into the house, as he was lying on his bed in his bedroom, they struck him and killed him, and they beheaded him. And they took his head and traveled by way of the Arabah all night. Then they brought the head of Ishbosheth to David at Hebron, and David and said to the king, "Behold, the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, your enemy, who sought your life. So the Lord has given my lord the king vengeance on this day on Saul and all his descendants." But David replied to Rechab and his brother Bana, sons of Rimmon the Beerothites, and said to them, "As the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life from all distress, when the one who informed me, saying, 'Behold, Saul is death,' also viewed himself as a bearer of good news, I seized him and killed him in Ziklag, which was the reward I gave him for his news. How much more when wicked men have killed a righteous man in his own house on his bed? Shall I not now require his blood from your hands and eliminate you both from the earth?" Then David commanded the young men, and he killed him and cut off their hands and feet and hung them up beside the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the grave of Abner in Hebron. Okay, so basically, chapter 4 is Ishbosheth, who was made king over Israel, and was he innocent? Maybe. I'm not too sure. David said he is, so I guess I'll take his word. Nothing, yeah, nothing that I can perceive that he did with malicious intent. But yeah, because of this, he has the 2 people who murdered him killed. King David has them killed. Okay, that is what we're going to read for now, I guess. I can't promise anything, but yeah, first chapter 3, David has children. Abner turns on Ishbosheth and turns toward David. And David mourns his death after he was killed. And Ishbosheth, the former king of Israel, is also killed. And that's what it is. Okay. So, I think I'm going to stop it here. We may or may not do part 2 today. So, but just in case we don't see you again, go in peace and seek the love of the Lord. We might do a part 2 with chapters 5 and chapter 6. And yeah. So, thank y'all for watching.